Hey, Nekrage here from the OranThul. Just wanted to upload this stream. I managed to capture the entire thing. It's rather long. But yeah, a little bit about me. I'm the leader of the OranThul. We're the best guild in that crap MMO called Arcage. And we're looking to play some Echo of Soul. So if anyone's interested in joining a guild that strives to be the best of the best, feel free to go to OranThul.com and throw in an application. I'll put the link down in the description. Anyway, enjoy this long stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Echo of Soul livestream. I'm CM Chris. Joining me today is GM Arden.
Hello.
Our resident expert on everything Echo of Soul, and Klaus, the head of product management, who's overseeing the team bringing EOS to the West.
Hi guys.
We've got a ton of content we're really excited to show today. We'll be giving you a first look at the game launching on May 4th. And shortly around then, we'll be sending out the first wave of beta keys. If you're feeling a little impatient, you can become a founder. Founders will have secured their spot in the beta, alongside getting some exclusive goodies. So we have a ton to get through today, and we'll be starting off in character creation before clearing the opening section of the game. We'll do some QA with Klaus in the QA corner, and we'll be running a dungeon. So without further ado, we're about to crack on. Klaus, we'll join you in a bit.
Cool.
And John, why don't you start telling me about the classes?
All right, Chris, we're going to jump straight into character creation by way of stopping it by the class selection. So first up, my first choice, the first character I played in Echo of Soul, maybe it will always be my favorite, is the warrior. Simply amazing looking. He is as tanky as he seems. As you can tell from the size of his weapon, he is a melee frontline fighter. Now, something we'll see across the classes, broadly speaking, there are two specializations you can dive into. The warrior's attribute is rage, and he will use that to either become an attack-fueled berserker or a more defensive protector. With the berserker skill line, you're going to be using that rage aspect to link together attacks to continually output damage, sustaining it over time. Or else with the protector, you've got more of the traditional MMO hard tanking ability. He's got a lot of self-protecting skills, he's got shields, he's got your pulls, your taunts, that sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how either of these will be used, what sort of specializations people are going to build out into. Second up, which happened to be my second choice as I was going through character selection.
Were you just going from left to right?
I was just going from left to right, Chris, yeah. I picked a rogue, despite the fact that I wasn't traditionally born to a sort of squishy, high damage output thief class, if you will. But I was really interested in the two specializations offered by the rogue. Building out into either a duelist class, where you're going to be chaining attacks, moving from enemy to enemy, trying to burst down the enemies to ensure that you take them out before moving on. You can either take that route, or you can become an assassin. Assassin's one of the higher difficulty classes, if I could say that, in the game, where he'll be putting down a lot of status effects, a lot of dots, a lot of really damaging skills to put on your enemies, but something that's going to require a lot of expertise on your behalf to make it work really effectively. It's an interesting class. Like I said, it wasn't one I thought I'd be drawn to.
But one that you quickly find...
Yeah, I'm maining a rogue now, to be honest, yeah.
So, personally myself, I was playing the Elven classes. The first one I played was the Guardian. So Guardians take on this sort of traditional melee AoE role. So their kind of pathways are based on the elements.
Okay.
So a Storm Guard has these huge damaging lightning imbued attacks that have wide AoEs and deal a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Alternatively, and my favorite path is the Earth Guard, because the Earth Guard has, they say it works as an off tank because of the high evasion stat.
Yeah.
But it basically means that you can tank a lot of the damage and you can pull a lot of the aggro. But most interestingly down the Earth Guard path is there are a lot of spells like when you're choosing your options.
Yeah.
There's one that says, okay, I'm going to pull all of the enemies towards me and take all the enemies. Alternatively, in that same sort of like, around that same sort of level, you have the option to say, okay, I want to give my allies a buff and I want to protect my allies.
Yeah.
So the Earth Guard not only tanks in itself,
Yeah.
but also helps the survivability of the party.
So it's a tank, support, group defender. It's a class that has a lot on offer, you're saying?
That's the thing. You can take both paths in general. So I could have Storm Guard as a main and then switch to Earth Guard when I need to tank. But for me personally, I want to take Earth Guard twice. And I want to have my supportive tank and my just controls the aggro tank and dictates the pace of this boss battle tank.
Yeah.
Which gives you the idea that it could be an off tank, it could be a secondary defender,
Yeah.
but I know that I'm going to be taking it into raids and playing it as the main tank because I love being that sort of like that guy who's like, you know, come on guys, this was you know.
There's such a diversity of builds you can pull off within each specialization, not to mind the fact that you get different specializations to go into. The Sorceress now, at first glance, would seem to be more of a classic MMO caster archetype. It's not as straightforward as that, of course. The Sorceress will be working with fire marks or ice marks.
And the fire marks have these, like, the heavy damage spells. They have damage over times because fire burns, you know?
Burns.
Whereas if you go down the ice mage path, your damage is reduced, not a huge amount.
Yeah.
But instead you pick up these CCs and these crowd control effects. So your Ice Bolt will slow enemies coming towards you and buy you that couple of extra seconds you need.
Yeah.
You have an ability that roots enemies in place. So if you've taken aggro, you can lock them down until someone takes it off you.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot more of different styles in how you play, especially in like PvE and PvP.
Yeah, and we've seen something else you pointed out with the sorceresses. They'll have skills not just to affect the enemy, but also to take themselves out of battle, like something that will give you a knockback to take you out of range. If you're playing something like a sorceress or a rogue, you're going to have to be aware of what the enemy is doing and not just sit there and get eaten alive. You'll need to be moving away. You'll need to be responding to skills, as we'll see in a bit more detail later on.
Some of the squishier classes have this idea that they can almost get out of jail free by using these abilities. But your melee classes, like your Guardian and like your Warrior, they will be on the pursuit and forcing you to come to them. I've seen in PvP, I've been grabbed as an archer by Guardians too many times to completely wipe them off. So they've got these movement spells, but there are also people hunting you down and chasing you out.
So you said you'd played Archer?
Yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of the Archer because it's one of the most interesting paths to me and one of the most interesting characters to me. So if you're going down the damage route, you can become a Huntress. Yeah. Huntresses, they have these sort of like these masteries that either deal in quick damage so that you're firing a lot of arrows at once, which admittedly looks crazy awesome. So there are times when you're like, you leap back and you fire arrows as you go, and then you suddenly fire another volley of arrows. And the game mode itself is alive in particle effects because there are so many arrows in the air. But it also has these like sniper shots, so you're like, and these even have their own animations as well. So it locks onto you, and then it gets really like deep down. It's almost like there's a laser target, and it's, you know, it's two paths down the same
Within Huntress,
tree.
you can become something rapid fire, almost area of effect, or you can become something single target, high damage, sniper archer.
Sniper archers, the sniper class.
Yeah.
And most interestingly to me is the Bard, because Echo of Soul got rid of the traditional healer role.
Right.
And while there are the ability to heal with bandages and scrolls, we'll talk about that much, much later.
Yeah.
You have these classes that specialize in supporting your teammates.
Yeah.
So whereas the Earth Guard in particular down the Guardian tree has these options where you can support your team, the Bard is all about exactly that.
Yeah.
It's a class entirely devoted to buffing your allies and weakening your enemies.
Yeah.
So it's less of a case of I'm just healing the tank while we win the fight, and it's more of a case of he's using a really powerful spell now.
Yeah.
And now is the time that I'm going to weaken his attack, to reduce his strength. He's gone into a really tough mode, then I'll be using my abilities to make sure that we're going to survive this fight.
You're going to keep an eye on your own cooldowns, you're going to keep an eye on enemy skills. You can't, even as a bard, you can't just spam support. You need to be intelligently working this.
It's when they have these little difficulty marks, and they're just rough guidelines, because honestly, the difficulty of the bard will separate the good bards from the great bards.
The great bard.
And it's the same for anything, you know, like you say, when you're talking about your rogues as your assassins, then that they will have their exceedingly well played characters, but at the same time, just because it's more difficult does not mean that an amazing duelist will lose out.
No, absolutely. It's going to come down to player skill. As we'll see, even in the brief amount of time we get to play today, the game's going to guide you towards finding out how you want to play for yourself. So I think we're going to see some really interesting outcomes. We're going to see people like, I didn't believe I would end up maining a rogue in this game. So what's it to be, Chris?
Go for Guardian,
You're
because
going Guardian?
left to right, you're in the middle.
Oh yes, okay. I'm working my way numerically through the classes. So we have arrived at the MMO staple, the character customization screen, Chris. We've got a lot of options unique to each of the classes, so you're not going to see a sorceress's hairdo copy-pasted across onto a Guardian.
And definitely not onto a warrior.
No, unfortunately not yet onto a warrior. We're going to see the hairstyles at first. They're ranging from the very glamorous, the very beautiful and hair flicky, to something a little tidier, maybe more battle appropriate, to something frankly...
It's completely inappropriate for combat.
She has a sense, Chris. She can see. She'll be fine. We're going to take something a little more normal, if we can call it that. I do quite like that too. And of course, you can cycle it through any number of slightly natural, beautiful ginger, to outlandish green and everything in between. We're going to settle on something a little more human, perhaps. Moving swiftly on.
There's a number of different facial constructs as well. So you can choose between these kind of more blank or more stern, traditionally elven sort of faces, these cartoonish kind of gazes to just, she was a little bit angry, man.
She was a little bit angry.
She was a little bit angry. To these very soft faces. You can also choose a variety of different presets for skin color.
Right.
So you have some more traditional skin colors. And some just absolute... You made Smurfette. That is Smurfette.
We made a Smurfette. Let's roll Smurfette.
Some very outlandish and different kind of color styles. Depending on what you personally want to play.
Yeah, exactly. In addition to this, as we were saying, each of the presets, they're class specific, so you're not going to get them copy pasted across. Each of the eye selections are the same deal. We're moving from something quite human away to something a little bit more elven. Something a bit cat-like, that's kind of cool, to something terrifying.
Absolutely demonic.
Beautiful in its own way. We're maybe not going to roll something as scary for this view because we don't want to scare away our Twitch viewers. So we're going to settle on something slightly more humane for the eye selection. Another aspect of customization, the one that's unique to the class, again, they're the tattoos.
So again, a lot of these are personally class specific. So you won't find these very scary vampire kind of eyes.
Beautiful.
Or the vampire lips on the sorceress, for example.
No, exactly. They're going to have a different set of tattoos that are sort of thematically assigned to that class.
Like being in the Kiss Army.
Like being in the Kiss Army. Who wouldn't?
So something to walk away from this if you're into numbers, and because there are concerns about customization and stuff like that, is we did some number work, and I hate numbers, so you're welcome for this. There are 157 million possible combinations if you roll something completely different time and time again.
Yeah.
So assuming that people don't mind rolling Smurfette, and I'm sure they don't. Like,
I would have rolled the first Smurfette.
lock the name in now.
Yeah.
Secure your name
Okay.
for CBT. So again, provided you don't mind rolling Smurfette, you have these options, and it would take over 157 million players before you came across someone who looks like you.
Yeah.
And that's before you even start talking about sliders.
Yeah, of course, we've got sliders. The way you arrive at your perfect chosen body proportions in Echo of Soul, it's by, you can scale up the entire body size together and then increase or reduce the leg proportion. So you're going from something slightly more dwarven or gnome-like to something slightly more elven and graceful and leggy. And of course, where would you be in an MMO without the option to do
Big head mode.
big head mode? Big head mode versus little head mode, depending on what it is that your preference is. We're going to go with middle of the road because we don't want to freak too many people out, but you have the option to freak people out if that's what you would prefer to do.
So that's your locked-in customization, and that's your character.
Yeah.
Something nice about the Echo of Souls character creation is you can get a look at some of the outfits and costumes that'll be available like throughout your journey and that you'll collect while playing.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the gear you pick up in game looks pretty amazing itself, but if you want the option to increase your customization, a purely aesthetic addition is the use of a costume. Now, these vary across the classes. You're going to have a lot of cool stuff we have already got in-game. We've got more stuff coming after launch. In addition to the costumes themselves, you can also layer up with accessories. Again, these are purely if you just want an extra layer of customization, in addition to everything else we've already talked about, Chris. We've got some beautiful headgear on display here.
And some serious pirate hats.
That is
But
Yarr.
wearing the gear also alters your character because you've got hat hair.
We have got hat hair. As you'll see, we go from the beautiful bouffant we picked out earlier on to something that will fit kindly under the hat. But let's let the hair be free for now. The other type of accessory that's available in game, and the one that's unique to each class, is there's an accessory that is class specific. So in the instance of the Guardian here, we have wings. You're not going to see a rogue or a sorceress rocking the wings. This is something that's only available for a Guardian. So the warrior has a Herculean sort of cape, the rogue is rocking a stylish scarf, and so on and so on.
It's basically like a giant come find me in PvP. Like, I have these big wings, guys, I'm right here.
Look at me, we've managed to create a Valkyrie. Spectacular. But let's not draw a huge amount of attention to ourselves at the start of the game, and let's rock on. Let's see if somebody has taken the name Chris. Name is available, Chris. Awesome.
I was taking all the anime names for beta test. There will be no Asunas or Kiritos when I'm done. They're all mine.
So we're about to see the introduction video, the story video.
Yeah, so we're about to dive into the story video. And that's something that basically frames your entire performance and history in Echo of Soul.
Yeah.
And it's the reason behind all of your actions.
Yeah.
So that, and I'm sure that some of you have seen it before, but it was actually one of the first videos we released, so maybe it might be new to some of you guys.
Yeah, cool.
And let's dive into it.
Okay.
In the beginning, there was the war of the creators, gods and giants, ancient beings bound by blood and hate, fought for supremacy. The immortals fought with such brutality that the world was nearly torn apart. In the end, the giants succumbed to the gods and the world was soiled with their blood, threatening to corrupt the world tree, source of all creation. To prevent the unthinkable, the goddess Frigg was forced to fuse her spirit with that of the world tree. Despite her sacrifice, an evil force emerged, determined to exact revenge and destroy all forms of life. You have been chosen by the gods to be their soul keeper. The future of the world rests on your shoulders. Are you ready to meet your destiny?
Okay, so we're rejoining ourselves in Brea Town, which is currently under attack by the Darklift forces.
As we can see.
We've been tasked with finding out what's going on and sort of just filling their numbers.
Yeah.
So hopefully what you took away from the story trailer and this battle between the gods and the giants.
The gigantometry, Chris.
the gigantometry.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it. We've popped our first achievement.
We're going to come back to achievements a little later on when we're not busily taking down Darklift.
Busy taking down the Darklift. But the thing you can take away from the story trailer and the, whatever it was, the gigantometry?
Yeah.
I'm so done. Is the actions that you take in Echo of Soul are based off of this.
Yeah.
So the aftermath of this battle between the gods and the giants is something that's going to play out in Echo of Soul.
Yeah, it's a lot of what underlies the motivations of the Soul Keeper. It's the rooting, it's the grounding of the whole story.
And you just picked up your first level up, man.
We
Congrats.
did level up. Hooah!
GZ.
We've also picked up our first couple of pieces of gear. We're going to be keeping an eye on that as we get some slightly cooler gear as we go along.
Okay, so I think the first things we have is the town's under attack by the Darklift. We've thinned their numbers a little bit, but they need some support from our end to help keep the battle going. You know, these defenders are taking a bit of a beating, so we could do with some medicinal herbs.
Yeah, we're going to pick up a few herbs that will allow them to make remedies that will take back the wounded from their state.
And there are a lot of residents that have been captured.
Yeah, as we can see here, quite a few have been captured. We're going to do our little bit in rescuing them.
Just give us 1 second, guys. Check the sound settings for us.
Cool.
Settings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't forget that towards the end of this section, we'll have a chat with Klaus in the QA corner. So use the hashtag EOSLive, send us your questions, and you might possibly end up being a founder at the end of this.
Oh yeah.
So okay, back into where back into a game with sound, thankfully.
Yes.
Which is a start.
So we've collected a few herbs. We've rescued a portion of the Brean residents. Not all of them, unfortunately.
I think we have a lot on our plate, and there are going to be a lot of soul keepers coming in through the door, and a lot of competition to save the residents. So right now it's okay. You know, we're doing good. But later on, yeah, I can understand that right now we apologize to the rest of the residents.
Somebody will be along in good time to save you, sirs and madams.
We'll save you on an alternate character, I promise.
So amongst all of that, Chris, we popped another level up and we got the first new skill on our bar. We're going to see a little later on as we add a few more skills how you'll begin to specialize, how you'll start to find out for yourself what sort of skill layout you'll want to go for.
So we've held the Darklift at bay, and that's the first step, you know. But the best defense is offense, and we know that there is a boss and a lord of these Darklift that is attacking Nolta. Yeah. What we don't know is why, and we want to find out. Okay. But he's protected by a barrier, which Lavina was kind enough to tell us about. But we're skipping the quest logs because
no spoilers, guys.
No spoilers.
Not too much spoilers.
You know, other than what we tell you. Yes. And we need to break that barrier. Yeah. And to do that, we need the help of the local wood nymphs. Yep. But they have problems of their own.
So the wood nymphs in their crystal forest will be able to supply us with a piece of pellucid crystal, which will allow Lavina to imbue it with some of her power, allow us in turn to take down that barrier, but we are going to need to help them out with their Darklift problem to get a little help from them in return.
Darklift! Darklift everywhere! Oh. So, what I know from playing the Guardian myself is that your attacks are building your Vitality Gauge.
Yeah, you see this on the right here at the bottom, Chris.
And certain attacks are builders, so they don't cost Vitality, but they build it. Exactly. And then you use that build-up Vitality for more powerful and special attacks.
Right, exactly. You can see, as I said earlier on, I ran Warrior myself. Now, the Warrior is superficially similar in that he's a builder. He needs to build up his attribute before he can make attacks. But the subtle but crucial distinction here is that the warrior benefits from both from making attacks and from being attacked. So you would play a warrior, no matter how you build him, you would play him differently from a guardian, because it's almost in a warrior's best interest to pull more aggro. He'll then generate more rage, which you can turn into further attacks.
I'm not going to argue with you about the best tank class, John. Not again.
We shall see.
Well, we will agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And maybe leave it up to the players when they.
Yeah, we could
when
face
they
off
join it.
someday, Chris. We will both lead a team of soul keepers upon the plains of Valhalla.
PvP.
Yeah, man. So we've fetched our crystal. We're on our way back to Lavina for it to be imbued with said power, and hopefully be able to make a difference.
So this level up's pretty special because you pick up 2 new skills.
Yeah.
And one of them is really, really useful for making use of your vitality.
That's right.
So we unlocked an execute, which when an enemy drops below 50% HP, you can expend all of the vitality in your gauge, a sort of like all or nothing kind of assault to finish off an enemy.
Yeah, exactly.
The alternate path we picked up is the Earthen Wrath, which is an AoE. So it's an AoE dot. So if we're pulling a lot of aggro and we have a lot of mobs around us, pop your Earthen Wrath. You'll see a small indicator on the ground, which will show you where it is, and the enemies around you will be taking damage.
Yeah. So as I hinted before, you're starting to see how you diversify your build. You'll start to see how you might want to make that choice when you hit level 10 of what specialization you'll go into. So as you introduced, we've got 2 skills here. One's a really high damage single target execute. The other's a lower damage but a constant damage and a constant damage over time over an area of effect. So as you play, you'll start to see more and more for yourself what sort of path you might like to choose.
Which I think is something really interesting because a lot of the skills that go into the mastery tree that we'll take a brief look at later on are built off the skills you're getting now.
Yeah.
So while the rogue in particular, like you said, picks up a lot of skills that take them down this sort of like assassin or duelist path, for the guardian, you can see that some of your attacks specialize in damage.
Yeah.
And that your other attacks take that sort of more earth-focused, defensive kind of keeping aggro role.
Yeah, it's a common theme across the classes that you'll start to build up skills before level 10 that will give you an idea of how you're going to build yourself out.
There are a lot. I mean, it's good we've got some new Soul Keepers coming in because some of these guys didn't make it.
We're going to need some new Soul Keepers. We're almost there, Chris.
So again, we've reached the altar, and you can see that Diamond is behind this barrier. And this is our first sort of like mini boss encounter.
Yeah.
So I say dive in, and let's just fight him.
Okay, here goes. Yikes. Chivo.
Again, more achievements. But right now we have boss dropping, so focus.
It's on.
So again, Lavina's here to back us up.
Yeah.
And we're about to take on Diamond. He's being held at bay right now, but
we need to end this, Chris. Yeah, let's get stuck in. Boom.
And again, something that you'll notice about something you're looking pretty swish.
Thank you.
Oh god, this isn't even his final form, John. Yeah. Just run.
Just run.
No, it's okay. You can fight him. Trust me. You can fight him. Okay. Something you'll notice about the bosses in particular, less so the first boss of the game, but in particular when we start running the dungeon later on, is you'll need to be using your abilities, your gap closers, your move makers.
Yeah.
To their best effect, to avoid AoEs and to make sure that you're taking as little damage as possible.
Yeah, we saw there really briefly that there's a dodge roll. There's a different sort of evasive skill available for each of the classes. So whether you're an archer or a rogue or even a warrior, you're going to want to be aware that you can get out of the way of damage if you're paying attention enough. You don't need to take silly damage. You can fight intelligently.
So I think we found a point where we can just sit down and look at the achievements. Like, relax. We've finished Echo of Soul. No. There is a lot more to go. Just kidding. This is the first mini boss.
Yeah.
So we can finally have a look at the achievement menu.
Yeah. So we were popping a lot of the smaller achievements just straight away as we went, but seeing as we just saved Breetown for now, we got a Valor reward. We got a story-related achievement, and that's going to introduce us to the huge breadth of achievements that is available in Echo of Soul. There's something here for everyone, really. If you're a PvE monster slayer, then you get something going from 100 monsters up to the frankly terrifying 100,000 monsters achievement. Again, as I said, there's something for everyone here. If you want to specialize in dungeon running, you'll get achievements from the very low to the very difficult to accomplish. You'll be seeing achievements for all of the crafting roles that we're going to introduce briefly later on as well. Your ones, there are some really difficult ones.
So again, there's achievements for pretty much everything, depending on your personal play style and how you're taking the game.
Yeah.
So if you die, like it happens to all of us,
when you
okay? When you die, you'll get an achievement for that. It's just that sort of like jokey, the go into the light achievement that that just reminds you that you're fragile occasionally. You know,
I would like to see how long someone can avoid getting the go into the light achievement.
I'd like to see someone clear the toughest dungeons without seeing the go into the light achievement.
Yeah, if we can see that, did we see both of those achievements on one character? Wow.
No, one of the achievements and not the other achievement.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so the current state of things, we've just beaten Diamond.
Yeah.
And we need to find out why he was here. Like, it's not just that he's here, we want to know why.
The game is not over yet.
To do so, we need you to go through and loot the corpses of some Darkleth, which is a bit of a messy job.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a bit of a QA break.
Okay.
And we'll talk about some of those questions we've had with Klaus.
Awesome.
And we'll rejoin you in a moment.
Okay, I'm going to loot said corpses, Chris.
Whoop. Don't lose anything. How's it going, Klaus?
Pretty good. Looking awesome.
Are you enjoying the game so far?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so we'll leap in with some of the questions we've had from the audience.
Sure.
And one of the first ones that has come up is, how did Aria and us ourselves reach the point where we're publishing Echo of Soul?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, basically, what you have to know is that most people at Area are like passionate gamers themselves. Myself, of course, John over there, obviously, he's doing that job. And
not
so
me.
we're looking.
I see how it is, not me.
Well, you're getting there. For sure. And so we're always on the lookout for great games. And Echo of Soul was really, popular in Korea and then got published in China and Thailand. So it popped up on our radar, and we wanted to take a closer look, and found it was, an awesome game. So we put everything in motion to get that game to the West, and lucky for us, Envious took us on. They're our developer, and so here we are.
And that's the point we're at now. So you mentioned Envious, the developers. So who are they? Like, tell us a little more than just the developer.
Yeah, the developer.
The developer.
Envious is interesting because the guys working there that basically founded that studio are people that worked on Lineage and Lineage 2, and they recruited a lot of really good talent to the cause. And I met the guys when I was in Korea. Dedicated team, great people. So pretty much shows in the game for sure.
That's absolutely amazing. So the game launched in Thailand, and it launched in China. Sure. And is that the same version we're showing here? Well,
yeah, obviously. I mean, the game's a great game, so we kept the core game as it is. What we did do is we added, of course, localization, and we took great care to have cool voiceovers for the entire game in the different languages that we're going to launch. And we made some small tweaks to the mechanics that you might be able to see later on. And yeah, we're also going to take care that we start with a good community focus. So we're going to try to add some fun with a lot of events and things like that. So it's going to be the same, but different and a lot of fun.
So I'm sure you'll love this question, and it nearly always comes up, but is this game going to be a pay-to-win MMO?
Oh man, I get that question a lot. My personal answer to that is a clear no. I can kind of understand how people come across this with free-to-play having suffered this kind of bad reputation. At the same time, there are a couple of great examples out there of games that are free-to-play, not pay-to-win, and that's where we pretty much draw our examples from. And so we took great care that we figured out how to have some quest rewards that would drop cash items, some collectibles, and just spread them throughout the game so that especially free players early on would find a pleasant surprise that they say, hey, cool, this is a really good start. So that's what we're aiming for.
That's fantastic. So we got a couple of other quick questions. So I feel like I know this one, but will the game support other languages than English?
Yeah, as I just said, we're launching in multiple languages, so it's going to be French, German, and English to begin with.
And in the past, we've had games where, like Ore Kingdom, which was later published in other languages. So there's possibilities in the future that if Echo of Souls sees success, that's a tongue twister for you, that we might even see it in other languages.
Yeah, we're definitely keeping our options open there, for sure.
So a couple of quick last ones before we finish this one is, how many servers will there be?
Well, we're going to start off with 6 servers, and then, as people crowd in, we can always add more if we have to. I'd be happy to see that for sure.
Again, another one we've discussed already. So when can we play the game?
Yeah, like you mentioned in the beginning, beta starts May the 4th, and we'll start sending out beta keys from there. So everybody who's signed up definitely has the chance to get in. We'll be doing several waves because obviously we need to make sure everything's running smoothly. And if you're more on the impatient side, obviously you can also become a founder right now. Some cool stuff there, and guaranteed access for sure.
So I'm gonna leap back to John for now because I need to level up my gamer score so that you'll respect me a little more when I come back.
Okay.
But if you have any more questions for Klaus or John, give us the hashtag EOSLive and we'll make sure we get around to them.
Sounds great.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
And try not to drop anything this time.
That'll be fine.
I can do this. Welcome back. It's nice to see you again, John. Did you miss me?
I did. I've been busy, I'm afraid, Chris. There's still a lot going on here. We're learning from Lavina a little bit more of the backstory of the historical events you were introduced to in the intro movie. We're going to start to learn about the motivations of Soul Keepers, what has happened in the world here, and what we can do to help.
So, again, the Soul Keepers are influenced by the history and this battle between the gods and the giants. We've said it many times because
it's important.
It influences pretty much everything.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we have to say it a lot.
Yeah.
But there's this corruption that spread from the blood of Ymir.
That's right. When Ymir was killed, as you saw in the intro, his blood spilled upon the land. It caused a sort of roaming corruption. And now we see that some of the gentle forest spirits have been corrupted. So Lavina has tasked us twofold. She's asked us to put some of these poor spirits out of their misery so they might find peace, and also to begin our first steps to becoming a fledgling soul keeper.
So I'm just saying that those non-corrupted spirits were actually ganging up on
They
that
were,
one
I saw
corrupted
that
spirit.
actually.
I'm not sure that's fair. Like, Jules between Earth spirits, man.
Yeah, life is hard sometimes. So if you keep an eye on when we're dispatching these mobs and monsters, you'll see a little something pop. When I do manage to dispatch them, when I do and don't wipe, boom.
Just a soul.
Just a soul. Just not any ordinary soul, Chris, a chaos soul. A symptom of the corruption, this historic contamination that resulted from Ymir's death, and something that we as soul keepers are tasked with tackling and resolving.
So that sort of feeds into one of the key systems we're going to be introduced to.
Yeah.
And we'll quickly talk to Lavina because she's going to really kick us off on it.
Yeah, she's introducing us to our soul keeper training. Aww. So as discussed, we're going to be introduced to the soul system. This is the soul in Echo of Soul. So as you'd imagine, it's fairly key. When we
get past the tutorial.
When we get past the tutorial and perform our own tutorial, when you gain these chaos souls from the vanquished corrupted spirits, there's a way you can put them to use. Now, first of all, for soul purification, you will need to be in the vague proximity of a soul sanctum, such as this one. You'll see these dotted all over the world, from the biggest towns to the smallest sleepy hollows. You'll be able to find one. When you're standing in proximity to one, you simply open your soul satchel. You observe your number of contaminated souls, and then
you purify them.
Boom! Chivo!
So that's our first purification. And you can see right off the bat that our souls have been purified into 4 states.
Yeah.
So again, if you think that like each soul has its unique attribute. Say maybe I'm a little more hopeful than you, and you're a little more innocent than me. Were we corrupted by the blood of Ymir, and our souls were purified? I turn into a soul of hope, and you turn into a soul of innocence.
Yeah, so moving swiftly on, we'll come back later on. We're going to see a few of the systems whereby the purified souls can be used to the benefit of a soul keeper. There's just a couple of points we're going to cover before we move on.
And what I was saying with that was it's random.
Yeah, it's random, not a personal comment.
So again, there's benefits to purifying souls at the best opportunities.
Yeah.
So pretty much if you come across a soul sanctum, you want to be purifying your souls.
There's no reason you wouldn't, I suppose.
Partly because you can hold more purified souls than you can chaos souls.
Absolutely. You have a capacity for 4,000 purified souls, whereas your capacity for the more volatile chaos souls, it's down at 275. So you're going to be missing out on, as we'll show you the benefits later on, you're going to be missing out on a lot of a buff, a lot of experience, a lot of things that will help you if you're not purifying frequently.
So that's basically your first step, right? And we'll keep it simple. There's one other way soul keepers can purify souls.
That's right.
And that's with a friend.
Yeah, exactly. When we start to get fledgling soul keepers in through the doors on May 4th, we'll be able to show you that in effect, but unfortunately, we have a dearth of soul keepers at the moment.
We're all by ourselves today.
Oh.
So basically, if you ask another soul keeper to purify with you, it's co-op purification.
Yeah.
There's a quest that Lavina wants to give us for it.
Yeah.
And that means that you can purify anywhere on the map.
Yeah, you don't need to be in the proximity of a soul sanctum. The energy of the two soul keepers' souls combined to negate that need.
Purifying by yourself is difficult. It takes a stroll. If you've got a buddy, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's great.
That makes sense.
There is one other benefit, though.
Yes, there is. When you purify alone, you're purifying 2 chaos souls to 1 purified soul. Now that's good. I mean, it's okay. When you're purifying in a co-op mode, you're getting a 1-to-1 exchange rate. Because there's 2 soul keepers' souls purifying them, you get a 1-to-1. So your 2 chaos souls here will become 2 purified souls. It's literally twice as effective.
Super effective.
Click.
So, this is the first part, and it's all, again, influenced by what we've discussed before. What we've actually noticed that by talking to Lavina and talking to Delos is that the reason the Darklift were attacking Breatown is because there is a fragment of Ymir's soul, Ymir's soul hidden in the altar. And that was the reason the Darklift were attacking.
Yeah.
So, in essence, Ymir's kind of still around, right?
He is. When the conflict happened long ago, Ymir's soul was split into 6 pieces. Now, each of these 6 pieces, they're very, very powerful artifacts in and of themselves. But Lavina and us were starting to fear that someone somehow might be trying to reunite these 6 aspects of the soul and bring about an age of untold darkness.
So
that simply won't do, Chris.
So again, that's part of our focus and our actions.
Yeah.
So the motivations of the Darklift, the motivations that we're experiencing right now, are all after effects of the war between the gods and the giants.
Yeah, it's still being felt throughout the world.
So I think from there, that's easy enough. We've saved Breatown.
Yeah.
Kind of. The buildings are a bit smoky, but they'll rebuild.
They'll be
get
okay.
there. But what we've got right now is we've received a missive
Yes.
that Nemo's town is under attack.
Yeah, the neighbours and close allies of Breatown. Just as soon as we have found ourselves having saved Breatown, we will also need to go and pay a call to Nemo's town.
So before we go, because as much as I love there being a reason to dash off, John, you've got mail.
Ah, well spotted, Chris.
We'll save you later, guys. We'll save you later.
All in good time. Yeah, so the mail system, as you'll see, there's going to be a mailbox in every town. They will pop when there's something new here for you to see. Our first piece of mail here is a Valor Reward. This is what we get for the achievement we popped when we saved Breatown, and it's pretty nifty if I say so myself.
So, is that a pet?
It is a pet, Chris. We've got our first pet on screen, and it's an anteater, which shall be named... Ah, my apologies.
That shall be named Soulskill.
Soulskill the pet. We're going to name it Anteater.
You're not amazingly original when
I'm
it comes
not.
to these,
I
are you?
mean, what can I do?
You should have called it Arden.
Arden,
And you could have been
Arden
my
the
pet.
Anteater. So having taken and named our pet, we can then summon it forth at any stage, and we'll start to see the little benefits and buffs that pets will give you in Echo of Soul.
So, Anteater.
Anteater the Anteater.
Anteater the Anteater. He's a pack rat, right?
He's a pack rat, right? He's an auto-loot pet. He's going to go around picking up the various bits and pieces from everyone that you take out, saving you the hassle. If you're going through a lot of monster killing, you're not going to want to loot every single thing. And in addition to being useful, he's also adorably cute. I believe has one of his ears pierced.
Did he just like was just scratching himself?
Yeah. the pets all have social actions of their own. They will just twiddle away at themselves in various different ways. Boom. So for the time being, we've been momentarily lent a llama. We haven't been entrusted with our own, but desperate times call for desperate measures. So we're going to run to Nemos Town on a borrowed llama.
That looks like an alpacobo to me.
It looks like a cross between various fantasy creatures. Isn't it beautiful though?
It's got a purple tail.
It's
a plum llama.
a plum llama.
A plum llama.
You'll notice as well, if you're mounting each of the different classes, they mount in a slightly different way. So you've got a sort of very proper riding stance on the Guardian. The Rogue's got something slightly cooler where he has like one leg up on the saddle because he don't even care.
Whereas the Archer Princess rides, because that way you could fire your bow from your mount.
Ah, very good.
There you go. No.
So we're on the right road to Nemos Town. We're just going to head on in. Boom.
This was once the most peaceful town in Levens. Then the goblins
And I think
appeared and
one of the
started
really, really
terrorizing our
cool
home.
things in Echo of Soul is that all of the towns have like backstories, or nearly all of the towns. There's a couple of Sleepy Hollows that are Sleepy Hollows because they're Sleepy Hollows. You know, it makes sense. But there's nearly always some reason
We need your help.
for you to be in a town and some history to being in a town. So Nemos Town is like your first sort of like market and trade town. So it has this sort of like, there's a lot of people and they learn a lot of new things here.
Yeah.
Whereas like some of the later towns, they have more backstory with the creatures around them and protective charms placed on them and stuff like that. So everything feels like it sort of fits and has a purpose.
Yeah.
So if we're sent to a town to kill goblins, it's because the goblins are attacking the town. It's not because the goblins are standing outside. Right?
No mindless slaughter. We have some genuine motivation as soul keepers.
There's possibility that the goblins standing outside may one day attack the town, so please kill them before.
We need a preemptive strike on said goblins.
Please go now.
So, back in all seriousness, we've been asked by both the militia commander of Nemos Town and one of the town residents to do a couple of things here. The town commander is asking us to retrieve some of the cunning town residents who have taken refuge from the siege.
At the bottom of a barrel.
We're going to find them. We're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel for these guys.
Oh, don't say that. They're nice guys.
They're nice. They're also quite intelligent. I mean, it seems to have worked. They've kept out of the way of the goblins. We've also been asked to take down a few of the goblins. One of the townspeople has lost someone very special to her to the goblins, and she wants blood, Chris.
She wants revenge.
She wants revenge, and she is going to have it.
An eye for an eye.
Yeah. So we're going to hopefully not get clobbered by the goblins. We're going to go around freeing the cunning town residents from their barrel hideouts. Do do do.
With the musical effects.
Do 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 do.
No. You rescue the people. We do our job.
We do. We concentrate.
You're only supposed to. I'm done. Okay. So again, well, the gods in this case are giving us a little bit of cover and taking care of this guy. There's one guy over there who's came up with his own plan of how to.
Yeah, this guy couldn't find a barrel in time, so he is taking refuge from the goblin onslaught. He's not a casualty.
Shh, be very quiet. I'm pretending to be dead.
And it seems to have worked for him. I mean, he hasn't been clobbered by the goblins. I think he's going to do all right out of this.
Okay, man.
Unlike us, he hasn't been clobbered by the goblins.
It's okay. We have the support of our friendly neighborhood Anteater.
Oh yeah, going along, looting Godot.
Exactly, and he's taking a lot of the job off you. So if you think that with the way you aggro the mobs, having a pack rat grab the stuff for you is really helpful.
Seeing as I'm going to need to be taking out all of the mobs that I stumble into all of the time, I like having a pack rat around.
You're just giving them time to respawn.
Okay, so back in the real world of Echo of Soul, we've turned in our quests to our townspeople. We've been advised that we can find the town chief, having safely secured himself in a corner of the town. He'll be able to give us some more info on how to proceed.
And how to hopefully save Nemo's town, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. Seems like a nice place. It's slightly on fire. Somewhat on fire.
Seems like a nice place. It's on fire.
Yeah, it's hot.
Nothing and nobody's getting past me. Yeah, because you're in a corner, dude.
They have safely sequestered themselves in the corner near the burning tavern.
But nothing's getting past him.
No, nothing is getting past them.
Exactly. So, again, it's not just the case that we want to kill the goblins. We want to know why the goblins are here.
Yeah, we want to know why they invaded Nemo's town at this time.
So Chip's got a quest for us, and it's possibly the worst of the references we put in Echo of Soul. It was a necessity, okay?
Yeah.
We didn't want to, it just happened.
How could you avoid it when the quest requires what it requires?
So this quest, we need to capture a goblin. So this quest is 50 Shades of Goblins.
Yeah, we're going to use rope to tie up and capture a goblin alive.
There are a lot of better references in Echo of Soul.
There are tons of better references than
For example, even just our co-op purification quest, with our powers combined.
Very good.
That's Captain Planet, right?
Captain Planet. Stop making me laugh. So we're going to turn in 50 Shades of Goblins and never discuss this again.
I warn you, my tastes are a little alternative.
Aha. Now, we've been reliably informed by Jewett that we're going to have to take on the head of the goblins in the hopes that if we kill the leader, the rest will dispatch. I'm going to take this opportunity to gear up with some of the stuff I've been collecting as we go along. So you'll see, even at a really early level, when you mouse over gear, it'll give you the stat changes that will be applied. So you can see if you're going to have an increase or a decrease in accuracy defense. This would build into the specialization that you're trying to find for yourself as you go along. So for now, as we're at a very low level, pretty much everything is going to be an improvement over what we've got on. And I'm hoping that these changes will give me the survivability I need.
So later on we'll have to make choices between maybe extra damage or defense on our Guardian, because the Guardian has these two very distinct paths. Same for your Warrior.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe the Rogue has a bit more where it's like it has to decide between critical hits or like attack speed or stuff like that.
You'll find every class will find gear that is notionally specialized towards their chosen path. So you'll find an Earth Guard set of gear or a Storm Guard set of gear, but it's not a completely exclusive. You, as a Storm Guard, could choose to wear an Earth Guard set if you're crazy like that. If you want to be flexible rather than really, really powerful. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that builds sub-prime characters.
You're not too fussed.
No.
That's fine. So again, we found Lord Kellyan. He's the leader of the goblins. So we'll take him out.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
We will take him out, Chris. We will take him out.
You can do this.
I can do this. I will not wipe on mini bosses.
This is kind of like a big tutorial. So if you wipe, the entire Twitch chat can laugh at you.
Please be kind. Send me good vibes, Twitch chat.
I'll laugh at you.
You can laugh. You can laugh on their behalf.
It's okay.
Yeah, we took him down. It's okay. I shall live to fight another day.
And that the achievement will pop another day, John. Always. This achievement looming over you. You always remember your first, John.
So we will hopefully make our way across burning Nemo's town without pulling the entire goblin horde down on us. Oh, townsperson's still playing dead.
Don't give him away. Don't step on him.
So hopefully we've made pulled.
You're just collecting souls, man.
Yes.
It's not that John is that John is just pulling everything. He's collecting souls.
Yes, we're going to collect as many souls as we can, because as we hinted earlier on, collecting as many souls as possible will reap benefits.
So again, the sort of like the key thing here is we save Nemo's town, and that allows us to go in and use this market town as what it was before, and use it in its prime. Which, using the water from the waterfall, we can now see. We've put the fires out, and things are getting a little bit more back to normal.
Yeah, as you said, we're going to be able to learn a little bit about what goes on in a market town, but just really quickly, if you saw it pop there, we got another skill. Now, there are no goblins left around for us to use it on, unfortunately, but this is an important skill to note. This is your interrupt skill. So again, every class is going to have something like this. They will have interrupting abilities. They might vary a little from class to class depending on the nature of the class, but it's important that you know this and that you know when to use this.
So, especially in party play, because interrupt skills tend to have not an amazingly long cooldown, but like a reasonable cooldown. So if you miss your interrupt,
Can I help you with something?
you're going to be hit by one of the boss's toughest attacks.
Yeah.
And there's no healer to really sort of patch you up. So either you're going to be chugging a potion,
Yeah.
or begging that the bandage gives you enough health to survive.
Yeah.
But if you've got a buddy with you, you can call him over, hopefully through a chat if you're really lucky, and be like, interrupt him now.
Interrupt him now.
Because if you try and type interrupt him now,
It'll be too late.
or pray he's got enough foresight to help you.
Yeah.
And do it for you. And particularly in party play, where maybe you've got a lot of mobs that have interrupt spells, or interruptible spells, may I say,
yeah.
and you need to rotate who's interrupting what.
Yeah.
So it really gives this kind of unique sense to the game and how you're playing it, that you're working with your team to minimize the damage.
Yeah.
And in actuality, you're not healers because that's not your job.
Yeah.
But it's your responsibility to make sure that everyone isn't taking huge amounts of
That
damage.
they're not in need of a healer because you've played intelligently, because you're aware of what's happening. So again, rushing back to Nemo's Town, we're going to get the opportunity to be introduced to some of the professional skills that is Echo of Souls crafting.
So the first thing we're going to pick up is cooking, right?
Cooking, that's correct. Cooking is one of the hobbies as opposed to a professional skill. So as you'll see here, you get to learn both of the hobbies. There isn't a restriction in that regard. You can become both a chef as well as a soul expert. There is a restriction on the hardline profession, the real professional skills, so you're going to have to make a choice, but we'll come back to that. For right now, we're just going to introduce you to the very basics of how you learn crafting and how it might be able to help you. So
let's pick up chefery.
let's pick up chefery. Let's become masters of chefery, or rather neophytes of chefery.
Neophytes of chefery.
Neophytes of chefery. Achievo. So having traveled to the relevant professional expert in town, you can use them in a variety of ways. First of all, as you saw, we upskilled in the area. We took the craft on to begin with. And now, the chef is a really good example because they are literally recipes in this regard. So we are going to be able to learn these aspects of the craft.
We're going to learn our recipes.
We're going to learn our recipes, literally.
Literally.
Literally. We've now learned a few of the basic recipes, nothing too flashy. We could be able to see when we open up cooking, you'll be able to see the various things you can make here. So
we can make a burger, right?
We can make a burger. We make a burger?
Yeah, I mean, let's
actually do the thing.
A brief jump into it. So we need something from the chef, though.
That's right. As well as learning the craft to begin with, as well as learning the aspects of the craft, you'll also need to buy some of the ingredients from the vendor professional craft NPCs. Now, that's not to say you need to buy everything from them. The best stuff will either be dropped, or as we'll see, might come from the other crafts. But we are going to need some very basic stuff from him. So let's get some bread on board. Let's call up our chefery. And let's see, you'll see that the craftable items you can make, they're sorted by the amount of experience that they'll give you. So something more difficult will obviously give you a greater amount of experience in that skill. You'll also be able to sort them by whether or not you have the ingredients. Now, that's why we got a bunch of bread, so we can make the simplest thing.
So you can see that you're crafting it now, and just like Mama used to make. So again, another achievement unlocked. So we're really collecting. I mean, I'd say your chef's lying to you, buddy. I mean, you're making a gourmet bacon burger with just bread.
Delicious.
So
delicious bread.
I think we're gonna have some words with this chef and see if we can maybe make the recipe feel less about slapping bread together and more about making an actual burger, because This is making me hungry.
So in addition to having learned our first steps in chefery, having gotten our first recipes and bought our first ingredients, we've also got a quest from the chef for the first time. He wants us to learn a bit more about the other professions, which is really helpful because we want to learn about the other professions anyway.
So again, there's another hobby and there's some professions, right?
Yeah, so we're going to just briefly take up the other hobby because, as I said, there's no restriction. You can take on both of the hobbies. So again, we will be learning the craft to begin with from the professional.
And you can pick up your recipes and...
Yeah, again, now it's going to vary slightly from profession to profession. They're not literally recipes, but they're, you know, that is what they are. They're
your formulas, maybe.
Yeah, your aspects of the craft. You'll learn each of them from the professional themselves. You will be able to buy some of, but not all of the ingredients you need from them.
And being a soul expert is kind of unique because soul expert makes use of the souls we collect.
Right.
So nothing too fancy in this case, but to make like a simple soul of pride,
Yeah.
you use the souls that you've refined
Exactly.
as an ingredient.
Yeah. So this is the first time we're coming across ways to use the purified souls we encountered earlier on. You'll be able to craft increasingly complex items, but what you'll see when we talk to another one of the professions is how and why the crafting works.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a profession, right? Jewelry.
Yeah.
And how many professions are there?
There are 3 professions. You are limited to 1 at a time. So it's a little bit more important that you think about what you're going to want to make, what you're going to want to specialize in. You can drop the profession later if you choose your mind, but you will lose the experience you put in. So we want I would be more careful about choosing for myself.
I mean, if you want to max out all of the professions,
Yeah.
that's going to be a pretty tall order. And I'd be so impressed if on one character, someone had managed to max out all of the professions.
Yeah, we should keep an eye out. We should give a prize to somebody who manages to max out all the professions. Here again, I'm going to learn to be a jeweler. Professionativo. This becomes my one and only profession that I can take, but it is going to be ultimately really rewarding. Again, we learn the aspects of the craft, a recipe, if you will, a recipe for some jewelry. And then you'll be able to see in the professional skills what your low-level crafting will ascend into. Jewelers will be able to make some of the most powerful accessories in the game. Alchemists will be making you some really powerful potions. I mean, they're going to be more powerful than the ones you can get in the shop. They might be more powerful than the ones that drop. There's always going to be a benefit to crafting. It's going to give you better stuff, but it's not just as simple as spamming the recipes, picking up the stuff. There's an interdependence we see between the professional skills in Echo of Soul.
And that's because of the next class in particular is like the biggest example of that. That's the resource collector, right?
Yeah, this is, for me, it seemed like a really interesting dynamic, a really interesting break with tradition almost. If you want to be able to harvest the nodes out in the world, you need to be a resource collector. That is a craft in and of itself. It seemed a little strange to me at first, but when I learned more about how the jewelers and the alchemists and the soul experts interact to create these really high-level items, it makes perfect sense. They're going to rely on the resource collectors to be able to get the high-level mats. The resource collectors are going to be able to sell these for a lot of money.
And that would open up a trade market because either as maybe say I'm a high-level resource collector, suddenly I have a lot of sway when it comes to maybe an alchemist and a jeweler both vying for my materials.
Yeah.
I'm in the position of power and I'm making them pay through the roof.
Yeah, so I mean, there's balance in everything in Echo of Soul. If you're a resource collector, you can't make anything yourself per se, but then again, no one can really make the good stuff or anything above a certain level without you.
So, and I think that's one of the nice things. There's these professions that work off each other and encourage cooperation. So whether you're rolling 3 characters with 3 different professions and going down the route of just being hardcore into professions, or coordinating with your guild and using your guild bank to its like maximum effectiveness. There's so many different ways to build into this market. But for me, I don't like professions.
I know you don't like it.
And I like raids, I like endgame content, I like PvP, I like running dungeons. So for me, I'm really glad that I can enjoy the game and collect good gear in a different means. And like we'll see later when we run a dungeon, through different avenues than just these sort of professional windows.
Yeah, even if you're running dungeons or you're monster hunting, you're going to be picking up all sorts of ingredients. Ingredients that each of the crafts need. If you're running dungeons, then you're going to get really high level materials. You're not going to need them because you don't like crafting. You're going to be able to sell them for a lot of coin. You're going to be able to market them. You're going to be able to maybe liaise with a jeweler and say, hey, I want this amazing accessory because I'm going to go running raids. I will give you this high level material in exchange.
So there's options no matter how you want to play.
Yeah.
And I find that's one of the nicest ways and one of the nicest things about Echo of Soul is that regardless of whether you're into PvE or PvP, you can level up through both.
Yeah.
And it's not just always about handing in quests and going from quest to quest, but I can gain a lot of experience in a dungeon, or I can gain experience even through crafting.
Yeah, you're not going to be at an advantage from crafting or not from crafting, but the final point we should cover on crafting is not only does your professional skill increase as you level it, as we put a tiny little bit of experience already on our chosen crafts, you can also gain character XP through crafting. So if you spend a lot of time crafting, making the materials, you're not just making a monetary gain, you're actually leveling your character as you go along as well. Cool. So back in the real world of Nemo's Town, as we were running around learning about professions, we also picked up a special ingredient for Truth Serum, because it wasn't enough that we tied up the goblin, we're also going to extort some information out of him.
So, that's fine. So, I think, yeah, there we go. So again, we've discovered that the reason the goblins were attacking Nemo's Town was because of the Moor Trolls.
Yeah.
And we're not going to dive too much further into the story from here because...
Enough spoilers?
We hate spoilers, and we've spoiled enough already.
Yeah.
We've given some very vague overviews.
We've given vague spoilers.
But the important thing to notice, like walking away from this, and I think there's one more thing you should pick up just before we leave, is that, you know, everything is connected. So there's a reason that Nemo's Town was under attack.
Yeah.
And like we discovered, there was a reason Brea Town was under attack. Thankfully, it's not always a case that everything is always under attack, but the nice thing for me is that everything feels grounded and there's reasons for everything. But right now, the reason I want us to keep playing before we, other than the fact we have someone to talk to, is that we can pick up our mount.
We can pick up our first mount. As you saw earlier on, we got a darling alpaca bow on loan, but as a reward for our efforts in saving Nemo's Town, we are getting our own mount. What's your favorite color, Chris?
Purple.
Purple? Purple-ish?
I was just trying to be difficult, John, but... okay, so again, we pick up a peach llama, which is closer to yellow, so...
I always find I prefer to slot the mount. I don't know if that's a given. I don't know if
No, same.
People do that, yeah. You'll find, I mean, there is a fast travel system, something we're not going to get into today. You will find you're mounting and demounting a lot. It speeds up your movement speed, obviously. It lowers your aggro range, so if you want to be able to run home after a difficult encounter, you mount up.
Yeah, it's just a quicker way to get around, and there are numerous different mounts. You can purchase the other llamas as well. If you're feeling completely...
You're a completist?
I was going to say if you're completely indecisive, but if you want to make a mount collection, you're more than welcome to. But moving on from that, we've got one guy to stop off, and one more thing that we really want to tell everyone about, and that's what you can do with your soul skills.
That's right. We're going to learn our first piece of advanced soul keeping from Garmel.
And he's an advanced soul keeper.
That's what he does. So we're going to be introduced to the soul skills. One of the coolest systems in the game, one of the coolest ways to use the purified souls. So as we mentioned, the souls are being purified into 4 different aspects, randomly being assigned to either hope, innocence, courage, or peace. Using these will allow you to apply an extra buff, an extra effect to your character.
So, from what I gather, there are buffs that specialize in boosting your defense. That's the Shield of Innocence in this case. But you also have buffs that boost your attack. So Flame of Courage gives you an attack speed boost. It gives you an attack damage boost. It gives you a casting boost. So if you're trying to put out as much DPS in as short time as possible, that's your go-to spell. If you're having trouble tanking a boss fight, or you're having trouble surviving a solo dungeon, then you want to move for the Shield of Innocence because it gives you the ability to tank that extra damage. So, I mean, you want to quickly just show us them because?
Yeah, okay, it's going to be the easiest way to understand them. So you select whichever one it is. At the moment, we have more courage than the other ones, so I guess we're going to pop that one. We slot it. It will be on your ability bar, the default T, and then boom.
So apart from popping another achievement, you can see the effect of this. And this is similar to what we saw when we were fighting Diamond, right?
Yeah, we were having an introduction unbeknownst to us to the world of soul skills.
But the wings were bigger.
Yes, that's right. As you can see here as well, like crafting like your own character, the more that you use these given buffs, the more that they will level up. So if you're using the Flame of Courage a lot, the effect will increase over time. You will level it up to 5 times. So though we've got kind of titchy wings to begin with, you'll end up seeing quite a large buff because it's having quite a large buff.
Okay, so, and that's something that, because it's visualized, you know that if a tank spawns blue wings in PvP, he is going to be unkillable for a reasonable period of time.
Yeah.
So either everyone focuses him or you switch targets.
Yeah.
And the nice thing in particular is these can either complement or offset your skills.
Right, you can double down on something or you can diversify. You mentioned the Shield of Innocence and a tank popping it. Obviously he's going to be super tanky, but if you're running a rogue or a sorceress and you get into a bit of trouble, you pop Shield of Innocence for yourself and you get a significant boost of defense. Will get you through boss attack, get you through a sticky situation.
And something that's pretty cool is that these soul skills, they're also used in some of your abilities.
That's right. Yeah, when you get to the highest level, and I guess I don't want to give away too much.
No.
But we'll just say in vague terms that when you get to later levels in the game, there'll be skills that can take on an aspect of these souls. So you'll be able to imbue your skill with an aspect of hope, an aspect of innocence, and depending on the skill, depending on the class, and depending on the spirit aspect, it will have a different effect, a different buff on top of that skill.
So it might reduce the cooldown, or it might make it deal a lot more damage. So say if we use the Flame of Courage on our super skill, as it were, then we'll deal a lot more damage.
Exactly, they're thematically linked to what they are. One other thing we didn't mention because it's super cool, each of these, in addition to their stat boost, they'll also give you an experience gained boost. So while you're using these, you're gaining more experience, you're leveling them up, you're doing more damage or taking less damage. They're a really huge part of Echo of Soul. They're one of the biggest systems in the game. It's going to be really important for you to keep an eye, as we said, continue to purify your souls, continue to use them, level up these skills. If there's one you're not particularly fond of and you find yourself never using Shield of Innocence, you can use the Soul Expert hobby to transform them into usable, sellable items. There's no way to lose with the Soul system.
So it's just Echo of Soul skill.
It is Echo of Soul, pure skill.
Okay, so I think we're off to a really good start. And like I said, I don't want to spoil too much of the story. So I'm going to pop back to Klaus. And we're going to do a little more Q&A because there's a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Fair enough.
Jumping in. You can mentally prepare yourself to run a dungeon. Okay? So take 5, meditate for a minute, and we'll come back and we'll run the first dungeon in the game.
Awesome.
Okay?
Cool.
Beautiful. How's it going, Klaus?
Still going good, thanks.
Still going good. Okie dokie. Okay, so we've had a huge amount of questions come in. I'm just catching up now, and this is crazy. So why are the classes gender locked? Like we've seen the archers and the guardians are female, as well as the sorceresses, whereas the rogue and the warrior are male. Why are the classes gender locked?
Well, you won't believe me, but I was actually anticipating that one. Because, the knee-jerk reaction when you hear about gender lock is like, hey, that should be easy to fix, right? Players see it the same way. So I went ahead and actually talked to the devs about it. And they gave a really good answer to that, is that they decided on that in order to get a lot of resources used on getting more dungeons out there, getting more monsters out there. And then at the same time, they wanted to prepare to have enough people that could work on a new class coming out shortly after launch. And at the same time, they tied the classes as they are now into the lore and just the way they behave and their skills and their animations. So all of that basically added up to their conscious decision of going with this.
So the classes are unique, and if it sort of reaches a point where you have these choices between, okay, do we try and make a character that's maybe like a female rogue, or do we sit there and say, okay, or do we put in a new high-level dungeon and a lot of new content and keep people playing and keep people enjoying the game?
That's pretty much
so
it,
yeah. I think that's a reasonable, you know, as a PvE player and a raider, I kind of appreciate that, and I think there's no shortage to classes that, you know, go against the typical stereotypes. So you have you have a guardian who's like a frontliner and really beastie. You have the new class that's coming out that takes on the like ranged male kind of aspect. So there's a reasonable mix.
Yes.
So we've got a couple more quickly coming up. So will EOS be available on Steam?
Yeah, we're definitely working on that. It's still a bit out, but we're trying to get that done as soon as possible for sure.
Okay, so it's in the pipeline.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, okay.
Can't promise when it's gonna start though.
No promises.
For now, you're gonna have to stick to our website and then sign up for the beta for sure to get your chance to get in there.
Okie dokie. And questions about this as well, because if they're trying to stick to our client, they're gonna need beta keys. So we're being asked how the beta keys will be distributed.
Okay, so you mean like in what channels? Like, are we just gonna send them out, or what do you think they want to know?
So I think maybe which different avenues will we use to push out keys? I mean, we know that you can get a key by being a founder, but that shouldn't be the only way to get a key, right?
No, definitely not. So as mentioned before, like we want to start the beta, and then we're going to start sending out waves of keys to people who signed up. It actually doesn't matter when they signed up. It's going to be completely randomly selected. And actually the community department and also the game masters are currently working on a couple of contests and maybe a couple of events where we can also shell out a couple of keys, right? And today we're going to have some lucky winners of the founder packs. They also are going to get keys.
Yeah, we're going to have 20 new players joining pretty much just from today. So that's a good start.
And then May 4th they can just be the first to be there. Sounds good.
Okie dokie. And so okie dokie. So again, that answers one of our other questions, which is the closed beta only available for founders? And like we've said,
there we have it. No.
We can, you know, again, it's not a case that we want to, you know, we thank people who really support the game, and we're really thankful to our founders. But people can either, you know, they build in the world, you know, like, sorry, I'm getting confused now, but
yeah,
players make the world their own. So, you know, they're going to fill the PvP channels and the PvE channels, and because of the effort of players joining the game, I'm going to have people to run dungeons with.
For sure.
And John's going to find 14 other people to fight with him in PvP with me. So
based on the signups, there's going to be no shortage of people for sure. Definitely.
So again, there's a question here: will there be servers for US, for the United States, and for Europe?
Yeah, so we will have servers for both North America and Europe ready to go, and probably a couple of cross servers for PvP action. So that's going to be good fun for sure.
Okie dokie. Okay. Will everyone be able to play the game? So in terms of this is more like a requirements question. So how good does your computer need to be to play Echo of Soul?
Well, we'll definitely be publishing a couple of recommended rig on our webpage, and of course, as the beta takes up and people start playing, I hope that they'll be sharing their experiences with us. But the developers were definitely not gunning for only high spec rigs, so it should work out for most people for sure.
So it's really well optimized.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I can play it on my tank top.
On your tank top?
My laptop tank top.
Sounds good.
So I think one last question from here is, will there be an EOS mobile app?
Right, so we're working on that right now, and yes, it's going to be there. I don't think it's going to be there in beta, but we'll keep you posted on that, and it's going to be useful just to stay in contact with your guild members, right? Set up a raid, this kind of stuff, or if you're just trying to auction off your items, also going to be useful there, so you don't have to be on your tank top all the time.
Beautiful. So again, we've still got a lot of questions. We've still got a little bit more time for QA at the end. We'll direct some game-related questions to John. So keep sending in your questions with the hashtag EOSLive. But I know John's itching to put his mettle to the test in the dungeon, and I want to see it and maybe laugh if he gets his death achievement. So we'll talk again in a bit, Klaus. But for now, I have to see this. I can't help myself.
Yes. Send me good vibes, people on Twitch. Help me not to wipe. Yeah, something I'd like to point out. We passed over earlier on, as Klaus said. There's going to be a lot of ways to get items in game, and one very direct way to get items in game is your login bonus. You're going to be getting increasingly awesome stuff just for logging in every day. A lot of the stuff you see here, they're gift boxes, so it's not just one item, they'll spawn out a few different items. Just as long as you come back every day, you'll get increasingly cool stuff. In addition to that, as he also mentioned, myself and the other GMs, we're already working on ways that we're going to have fun in game. We're going to have a load of events all the way through beta. We're thinking of stuff we can do post beta. It's something we're getting to get really creative on, and it's something that will allow players to get some free stuff in game as well.
So we've just gone into the first dungeon, which is the hidden cabin.
Right.
And something important to take away from this before you you dive straight in, because I know you've got the bloodlust, is that there's a dungeon matchmaking system.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you don't need to walk straight in as I did. It just so happened that I was in front of the one I needed to go to. But for both solo dungeons and for party play, you'll have the ability from anywhere in the world to select the dungeon you've been to, and then simply click on enter dungeon, and boom, you're right there where you need to be.
And that's really good for the party dungeons because it will match you with other people.
Exactly. So you request matching, you select your party dungeon, you request matching once we've got some other soul keepers to come in with us, and then you'll be put together in a party, you'll be instantly transported to the dungeon.
Which means that you can keep leveling and keep playing the game and keep enjoying the content while you're waiting for the dungeon to pop.
Yeah, and as Klaus also said, he covered a lot of it, there's also going to be some cross-server compatibility, so you won't just be playing if you're on a given sub-server, you'll be able to play with people for dungeons and for PvP cross-server.
So really you'll be putting the best of the best in PvP. So
yeah.
It could be that even if we're not on the same server, we can still have our epic confrontation, John.
Awesome.
So let's dive into this. You've switched characters.
Yeah, I switched over to my main, as I said. He's a rogue. He's going down the assassin path. He is offering a lot of potential damage. He's also offering a high chance that I will mess up, get swarmed, and end up wiping live on the stream.
So I might do you a bit of a favor and try and cover some of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So again, first things first, John's incredibly focused right now, is that the rogue plays differently to the Guardian. So the rogue has a filled stamina bar, and as John's using his abilities, and he should have interrupted that one, but I won't judge him too much, is that he's using his stamina, and that will refill over time. So when this enemy pulls, there we go, I saw that future for you. Interrupt the skill, please. No.
Stop distracting me, Chris.
Is that as he's playing, he's using his abilities, and when he's out of stamina, he can no longer use his abilities. So he has to really manage his skills. And that's important for the assassin rogue of all rogues because the skills build off one another. So take a quick break.
I will. I'll
breathe.
be okay. We can do this.
Okay, you got this.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Chris, the stamina is a pool of resource that you use up rather than you generate, like we said with the warrior or the guardian. As they enter combat, they become more and more effective. With the rogue, it's about resource management. You have to be really careful that you don't end up out of ability.
And if you open the mastery page for me, just quickly, it's your skills in this tree build off one another, right?
That's right, yeah. As we said briefly, there's a common shared pool of skills as you build up to level 10. You learn about the class and your character. Once you reach level 10, you then choose a specialization. I've gone down the assassin route here. It's something that allows you to chain attacks. So building off the very early attack, Tainted Edge, it's your damage over time. If you successfully land Tainted Edge, you can then chain it into an open wound. And when you hit open wound on an enemy that's been affected by Tainted Edge, the damage is increased and multiplied. So if you're lucky or skillful or very good, you'll be able to chain these attacks together. You'll get a huge amount of damage output. If you're unlucky and an attack misses, then my follow-up attack is going to be less successful. It's not going to have the crazy damage increase that I'm hoping for.
Okay.
I'm just making excuses for when I wipe.
It's not going to happen. You've got this. Just relax. Okay, so, and one of the important things I like to note is the dungeons in Echo of Soul have their place as well. So the people of Green Rock? Black Rock? A-Colored Rock. Sorry, my memory of names is terrible. The people of A-Colored Rock, I'm pretty sure it's green or black, are having issues with the Naga kidnapping some of the villagers. And it's our job to go in and find out really what's going on. So right now we have to rescue these villagers. And while we were here, we found... You're doing okay.
I'm okay.
We found a very angry wife whose husband has also been brainwashed by the Naga, and she wants us to go throw water in his face. Literally. Now it breaks the Naga curse, but we're not just having a go at it. But again, everything has this real reason behind it in Echo of Soul. And I really, really like that. That you're not just running dungeons for the sake of running dungeons, or you're not just running dungeons because you want to level up. That you're going into the dungeons with a real substantial reason and a backstory behind them. You're super focused right now, aren't
Such concentration, Chris.
You're just trying not to pull all of the mobs.
I can pull some of the mobs some of the time.
Okay, so you can see that the rogue has some like gap closing skills. You still have to kill the other one, relax.
I will.
John's drinking potions very
All the potions. All the time.
very quickly to give him a bit of like regenerating health in these fights. And hopefully at some point he will interrupt an attack. You got this.
I got this.
So
maintain. No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure. It's just a dungeon. Plus, what's the first staff achievement?
Oh, go into the light.
Go into the light.
Go into the light.
Don't go into the light. Come back. And one of the other things that I really like about the UI in Echo of Soul, too much tongue twister, is the damage meters are built in. So you don't need to download add-ons to know who's slacking in a raid. It's me. I'm playing Earthguard, so I'm going to be a tank, or a bard, so I'm not going to have that much damage. So it's me. You can blame me and boot me out of the party. So I think that that's really interesting, and I'll let John open it up when he manages to kill this Naga.
Interrupt. Success.
Go invisible. That's awesome.
Only briefly. So yes, now that I have a second.
You did no damage. You're out. Get out the raid. I've had enough.
It's also going to be interesting. We're not going to get a chance to show it here, but the different loot dispersal systems you'll see in game. If there's a loot master in your party, they'll be able to decide who is deserving of the loot.
So you have a loot council option.
Yeah, there's a few different systems for loot, and I don't want to go into them right now because we're not in a dungeon, a party dungeon, and I'm also trying to concentrate. Survive.
So, I still love that move. The rogue is pretty cool. I'll give you that.
It's dangerous, but it can have a huge benefit.
So, do you have any survivability skills? Or is it just pure damage?
No, it's pure damage, and it's pure damage over time. Like I said, I'm not terribly efficient at dealing with a huge damage class, a squishy class. I just fell in love. Will link together.
Nice interrupt.
Thank you. Finally, I'm learning.
I love that the rogue's interrupt isn't much of an interrupt. He just disappears. It's like, no, you didn't see me, so no more attack. But I find that's unique because everyone has their own interrupts again. So really unique styles and visual flares to each of the characters.
Whew, okay.
Just heal up.
Heal up.
And again, there's no healers in this game. So when you're out of combat, you can use a bandage and patch yourself up so the health goes up.
Yeah.
In combat, you can use a scroll, which is like an instantaneous health boost, or a health potion, which is like a slow heal over time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like regen. You don't get it. You don't get a huge amount from it, but
it will keep going.
Helps.
Yeah. Every little. Whoa. My situational awareness, fantastic as always, Chris.
It's okay. I think first time I did this, I was level 10 and playing an archer and pulled 4.
Oh dear. Yeah, I also actually had a similar experience. I was running it at the lower than the recommended level, the actual level.
It's like, you can go in at level 10 and don't go in at level 10.
Do not.
Do not go
unless
in.
Maybe you're amazing.
Unless you're far better than at the game than the two of us, and you've got enough scrolls, healing potions, everything to do it at level 10, you'll have a lot easier time waiting until level 12.
It's okay. Maintain. Maintain. Focus. Interrupt.
You did this.
Dots. Interrupt is down. Gonna get hit, but it's okay. Whew.
So you're doing pretty well. I mean, I mean, we've rescued the villagers. That's a start.
It's a start.
And we found our bewitched husband.
Yeah, we're going to sort him out with a quick, sharp glass of water to the face. Ooh. Oh yeah.
So, and again, he's something nice about this one is that by taking on this sort of why does he feel cold, you pick up some new quests, particularly related to the dungeon.
Yeah.
And he'll also tell you a little secret. So did you know at the back of this cave, there's a chest that has a small potion in it that will help with the boss battles?
I'm going to go for that, Chris. I think I'm going to need the help with the boss battle.
You just have to remember to use it. First step. First step. And I think one of the really like interesting things for how you're handling this is you've got two at once, both chaining skills. And you've got to try and either like kite or decide how you're playing about it. So you're buying yourself a little bit of time for your healing potion.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be able to use your dodge. You'll be able to kite. It's mostly about remaining calm, I think, in my case. It's okay. It's okay. We got this.
And again, now you've got your little secret at the back.
Let's not worry about the damage meter for the time being. Let's worry about the health gauge.
I'm not going to throw you out the party if you're doing a little bit less damage than I'd like. Though you will get your achievement.
Yeah. Check it out.
Check it out.
Ninja.
Rogue's front flip while jumping. True story. I feel like I've said this before. You pulled free.
Oh,
this will be
no.
your toughest fight yet. You started the potion so early. You pulled
good.
4.
I'm hoping that
you pulled 4. You're gonna die.
It's all over.
Just bandage yourself. Bandage yourself. Do this. Scroll yourself. Scroll yourself. Sorry. Okay. Now at least try and kill 1, because then if you pull them next time, you're only gonna pull 3. This is cheating to make you not cheating, but whittling down the numbers.
Yeah. This is intelligent fighting.
Intelligent fighting.
Fight smart.
No matter
not
how
hard.
many times we have to wipe, we will.
We
make
will
it through
clear this dungeon.
I'm helping you out. I'm in charge of you. You can't run away from this. So
this was always going to be a tough battle, Chris.
you're rocking
the most difficult class on the earliest dungeon.
I'm still not sure about the most difficult class. Maybe I'll try and level my bard further, and we can argue about it first. Oh god.
Oh no, it's happening. I have gone into the light. Oh, Chris.
Death's never as permanent when you're a main character in an MMO. Come back. So you will take a little bit of a hit to your durability on your items. You're gonna have to pay to repair that later. That's you're a little bit of a punishment for messing up.
Yeah.
But let's just crack back into it and finish this dungeon. Where if at first you don't succeed, give up.
Yeah.
No, let's try again.
Okay.
Just rescue that villager, will you?
Didn't I?
We actually missed one.
Yeah.
In fact, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
We totally meant to do this. Yeah.
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 Okay, well done. You rescued the villagers. And we unlocked a new achievement. So in terms of building your achievement profile, you don't get... So just 1 this time.
Just 1?
Just pull 1.
It's easier said than done, Chris.
So it's walking away, and you're not amazingly strong.
No.
So
you can observe the sort of patrol patterns, if you will, of the mobs. The rogue here, he's got that projectile attack, so I can use that to almost pick on the one. I'll draw the aggro of one of them from a distance, so that way I won't have to face all of them at the same time.
You're putting a lot of effort into it this time. No more just running straight into the enemies, right?
No face tanking.
No face
tank.
Amazing. Okie dokie. So this one, you're not gonna have a choice. You're fighting 2, and these guys, they're mini bosses. They're pretty tough. They're a little bit tougher than your regular enemies. So again, maybe you want to pop a potion early. Maybe you want to
save it for when I need it. I think there's a benefit to either of those strategies. It is really tough for the rogue when he's pulling multiple enemies, as we can clearly see.
So right now, the Guardian might have been a bit of a slightly better choice for all those
Hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Or more so in a party dungeon, we'll leave the DPS to you and the tanking to me. Sound like a deal?
Oh, I'm still alive. Lord of mercy, I'm still alive.
Though you really can't keep running away out of the area.
I can run forever, Chris. I can't actually escape, but I can run.
So, one thing I really like about this is there's this competitive aspect as well. So, less so in the early dungeons, because as you go later levels, you can come back into an early dungeon. But in the high level, in the big party dungeons, these timers add a competitive speedrunning edge to the dungeon.
That's right. You can see here below, there'll be a time for the server record, the all-time greatest, and a time for a personal best here. I'm obviously not breaking any records today.
But you're not just competing with the server, you're competing with yourself. So if you come back and try and get maybe the rest of the rogue gear, then that's your chance to show that you're not going to wipe and that we can do this first time round, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, I wiped too.
Yeah. Hope springs eternal, Chris.
So this is our first boss. So this is the Naga boss. And, okay, just... That's the reason you need to interrupt. So she got a poison on you for that. And interrupt. Or just heal. You have your own style, it's fine. I'm going to stop backseat playing.
Please.
You can focus on taking her down. And from Eli, you get a bit of the backstory of what's going on with the Naga, and that will lead you on to the sort of final boss. So even the dungeons have their fair share of story. Loot. You have no pet here. Loot. And interestingly enough, we've picked up the Assassin's Dazzling Boots, which is good because you're an assassin.
Yes, I could do and could do with some better gear. Clearly.
And the bosses drop gear that's relevant to your class. So you're not going to drop a boss and get a Guardian top. You're going to drop, unless you're playing Guardian. Yeah. You're going to drop a boss and get a rogue drop. The side effect of that is there are two pathways. So we got the Assassin's Boots this time, but on the final boss, we might get the Duelist's top. And they'll each have stats unique to the character. So going back to the Guardian, because it's what I know, and I can't build a rogue, I can't fairy craft a rogue. Building a Guardian, you'd get evasive stats and defense versus maybe just attack on your other piece of gear. So that's the difference between your Earth Guard and your Storm Guard in this case. You're really, really quick in going on to the next boss fight. So this one has mobs, yeah? And you take out the mobs, and the boss will spawn very shortly after.
It's all on the line, Chris.
No, it's not. We've wiped before, we can wipe again.
We can wipe again. We will wipe and wipe and wipe.
So, nice. Just heal up a little bit.
Heal up. Okay.
So,
this is going to take a portion of my cunning, Chris. A portion of my cunning. No, in fact, all of my cunning.
Don't shoot yourself down. You've got this. And again, this is one of the easiest ways for us to show that boss fights, you know, it's a tab targeting MMO. So you have spells, you use your spells. You know, fair does.
Yeah.
But then there's all these other things. So you need to block, dodge, or interrupt this attack. You don't have time to block it, just dodge. And you could see the flash of the particles behind us.
That was very close.
So that was a bit too close for my liking.
Yeah.
Maybe if you stay close next time. You're also managing your HP.
Move, dodge. Yes.
And they'll have these big AoE telegraphs that again deal a lot of damage if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you can block this.
Oh, that one was
really half your HP.
Tough.
And again, that's the reason you really have to focus. And I'm distracting the hell out of you
man.
in trying to take down this boss, is because it's not just standing there and face rolling the boss. There's no healer to back you up and give you that half of your life back. It's all down on you and all down on your playstyle to make sure you make it through this encounter.
Yikes.
I swear you just got knocked back for a minute there. That was very cool.
This is going to be super tough.
Your time record is on the line. So just a record that when the beta opens, if anyone wants to try and beat Arden's time at level 12,
have at me.
Options there. And I think you've got it. I think you've got this.
No overconfidence, Chris.
There we have it.
And
So
the face tank it down.
come on,
come on, don't wild.
Dots land.
Yes!
New personal record, 18 minutes, 39 seconds. Achievement unlocked.
That was
quests
way
to
too close for comfort. There's only one way we could possibly end this, Chris. Oh yeah!
do. He's dancing. Look at him, he's dancing, he's dancing.
Victory! Victory at last.
God, this is why we play games and don't dance. It's terrible. Good job.
Thank you.
Woo! So, I think you've earned yourself a bit of a break. And
Yes, thank you.
if you exit the dungeon, you'll
Yeah.
be taken to exactly where you started. You started at the entrance, so
Yeah.
not as lucky for you. But if you are out in the world doing quests, handing quests in, that's when you can easily just trip back, head out,
Yeah.
and answer your questions.
So we got introduced to some of the dungeon boss mechanics, but only the very basic ones. I've been lucky enough to play some of the party dungeons, some of the higher level solo ones, the infinite dungeons. And again, without wanting to spoil anything, it gets much more complicated than that. It's not just a matter of move out of the AoE. There's also going to be different kinds of telegraphed attacks. There's going to be attacks that require you to act as a group in a very concerted way. Because they're kind of unique to each of the bosses, I don't want to say what it is. I just want to point out that there's a lot of interesting dungeon mechanics.
And there's some bosses in particular, or some dungeons in particular, that have like requirements to just even pass through the dungeon. Like this one we had to kill the enemies, but others require like opening certain areas or unlocking certain keys or finding certain keys to make your way through the dungeon.
There'll be environmental assets, I suppose you could call it, on your way through the dungeon. There'll be tasks to complete, and then even when you get to the boss battles, again, the bosses might be throwing down environmental effects. They might have AoEs, they might be setting up certain things that will cause you damage, reducing the free amount of area you have to work in. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool as all. Cool as all.
It's cool and occasionally super difficult.
Really difficult.
You've
on the
nearly
first.
forgot your armor, dude.
After all of that effort.
Like we said, that's for a duelist. So, you know, as an assassin, you need to run the dungeon maybe a couple more times. Beat the record, you know.
Just because the set bonuses are really awesome.
Yeah, and you do get bonuses for getting all 4 pieces of gear.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
And then it just fits the style, you know. You look pretty cool.
Thank you.
So you've earned a break.
Yeah.
And as much as and maybe just a break from the game because the Twitch chat is going crazy. EOS Live has a lot of love for some game-related questions.
Yeah.
And we're going to call back Klaus to join us to answer a couple more. So I think we'll start off with, again, we've discussed it before, but there's no healing class. So with no healing class, how do you survive the fights? And does each class have a healing skill?
Well, as you've seen, I don't necessarily survive the fights. Not every class will have something that heals, but every class will have access to an aspect of healing. If it's the soul skill we looked at, if it's the various healing items, not everyone is going to have a way to regen health. Some of the classes are, some of the classes will be able to give health to others. It's going to be more about, as we said, awareness. The interesting thing we didn't touch on, the scrolls here, they're not just a big heal for yourself, they can also be assigned to be a party item. So that when you're running a dungeon, if you've got a compatriot who's really, really low on health and they need that bonus, you can hit the healing scroll on them. But again, as with all of the other aspects of combat, there's a cooldown on the scroll. If you spam your scrolls at the wrong time, you're not going to have them when you need them. So it's a completely different way of approaching healing in a game.
And if I give the scroll to you, while it's on cooldown, I don't have the scroll for myself, you know?
Exactly.
So then it becomes my task to either make sure that I'm minimizing damage using my soul skills.
Getting support skills from another player, ensuring that more of the tanky character classes are pulling the aggro away from you.
Or simply running for my life
running,
until
yes. Running
the
is
cooldown is
also
off. So I think I'll pass the next one on to Klaus. So will we have the Warlock class?
Well, yeah, we're definitely be getting it, but not in this version of the game, right? So that's out in the future for now. We have a lot of classes to pick from and to master, so I guess people won't be running out of classes to play. And yeah, but you can be prepared for future cool content.
And always keep an eye on like our social media, because if we're bringing the Warlock in the game, that's where we're going to be giving a shout out about it. And maybe we'll force John to play it on live stream or something.
Oh God.
So again, I think this one actually fits me because we did a community event for this.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have official server names yet? Yes, we do, because you guys picked them.
Yeah.
We have four servers for the English language.
Yeah.
They are Requiem, Genesis, Avalon, and Sanctuary.
Awesome.
The German players named their server Serapha.
Okay.
And France named their server...
Yggdrasil.
Oh, thank God you can pronounce it, because I
Yggdrasil.
cannot. Yggdrasil.
It's
No,
just YGG.
Well,
how can you not pronounce that?
Well, yeah, I can't. So again, you guys picked the names of the servers, and we were really glad that you put your votes in, you put your suggestions in,
Yeah.
and you picked some amazing names. Whether it's a case of we have more servers in the future, like Klaus said earlier, then maybe you get
We'll
to
ask
pick them again.
Yeah, of course.
So, moving on, are there many quests for leveling?
Are there many quests for leveling? Yes, there are many quests for leveling. I don't have exact numbers because it's way, way up there. You can level just through questing, you can level through dungeon diving, you can level only through PvP, you can level through crafting. You're not going to run out of stuff to do. You're not going to find yourself pigeonholed into playing a game that you don't want to play.
And it's not a case that you get close to the level cap and you run out of content. So if you want to quest, you can quest.
Yeah.
If you want to run dungeons and do PvP, you can do that. But you shouldn't find that you're running like a shortage of quests towards the end. And again, that feeds back into what Klaus said earlier, where they have so much content coming into the game, and their focus was making sure this is like a really fulfilled and complete MMO.
Yeah.
That you won't be finding yourself running short. And
There's going to be repeatable daily quests, there'll be repeatable dungeons. I believe we're getting repeatable crafting quests of a sort, or at least crafting achievements of a sort to keep you crafting all of the time. Even if you've hit crafting level cap, there'll still be a way for you to benefit from continuing on.
I'm not hitting crafting level cap.
You're not.
Stop
You're
trying
not.
to sell me on it.
We're just very different players, Chris.
So, and again, we briefly touched on the specializations. We didn't have them when we were playing our Guardian. We had them when we played our Rogue. And there's only 5 level difference between the two.
Yeah.
So what level do you unlock your first mastery?
At level 10, you make the choice of which of the trees you're going to go down. You'll then begin to build out between level 10 and level cap what sort of route you're going to go down. As you've seen, I attempted to put together a really high risk, high reward class. It initially didn't pay off. It then did pay off. You'll see as you get up through the levels, you'll be finding skills that feed into each other, literally on the skill bar or physically in the game, where you're going to see the benefits of understanding your class and choosing the skills that are right for you.
And that's partly down to your specialization, because you played a rogue who and had trouble only when you were getting many mobs. When you aggro a lot of mobs, you had trouble because that's your specialization.
Yeah.
Whereas
if I were a warrior, if I were either aspect of a warrior, I'd be feeding off the fact that I was getting attacked everywhere. It'd be giving me more and more rage. You benefit from drawing aggro.
And
as I'm a rogue, I want to burst down a target. I want to move from target to target and not do what it is that I'd have done all night and draw aggro all the time.
And my Guardian had a lot of AoE attacks, which meant that pulling a lot of mobs can actually be beneficial because it's just a faster way to clear the dungeon. So again, you get your unique styles of play depending on your class, and I think that really sort of differentiates it outside of your specializations and inside of your specializations.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick up your first mastery at level 10.
Yeah.
So we've been asked what the level cap is.
At the moment, it's level 60. I don't know how long that is going to be the case. We'll see what starts happening when people start hitting level cap, I guess.
And what happens with the developers and how they continue evolving the game.
Yeah.
So you pick up your first, you pick up masteries as you level through all of your, as you reach level cap, you pick up more and more masteries.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. As you said right at the start, you wanted to roll 2 Earth Guards. Well, that would be possible. Yes, you pick your first skill tree, your first mastery at level 10, and you work it all the way through to level cap, but you'll then get the opportunity to roll a second set of skills. So you can roll 2 Earth Guards, you can roll a PvP build and a PvE build, you can roll a dungeon diving versus a monster hunting build. You'll have the opportunity to redefine yourself. You won't be stuck with the one skill tree that you've chosen.
So I'll direct this one at Klaus. So will there be a guild system in Echo of Soul?
Well, for sure. Like guilds, super important, especially for somebody who needs help like John every now and then. That's going to work out well. So yeah, there's tons of stuff there, and also the mobile app will be helping people to keep in touch. So it's going to be a really cool thing.
And your guilds can trade and help with the professions like we discussed earlier, or there's like some cool guild features that guilds can make use of?
What I really like about the guilds is that you can either be in a peacetime guild or in a hostile guild, because something that if you're an MMO player like I am, you don't like the idea of open world PvP rather, you could be attacked out of nowhere. You can make that choice in Echo of Soul. If you're in a peacetime guild, no one will be able to attack you in the open world. If you're in a hostile guild, you will be open to open world PvP. It's just amazing that you have the choice. You don't have to choose between playing an open world PvP game or not. Both of them can be open. You can be openly hostile guilds. You can be peaceful guilds that have alliances with other guilds. You can be hostile guilds that have alliances with other guilds. So you won't be able to attack them, but you'll be able to attack your enemies. Together, huge alliances of guilds attacking their enemies.
So the guild system basically turns what could be like a generic, like peacetime kind of walking around the environment into this sort of kill on sight, know who your enemies are, like hunt them down kind of.
Only if that's what you want from the game. Only if you don't have to face, like I would not care for the idea myself of being struck down by another soul keeper, but if there's a war between guilds, that can happen. You can choose to have that happen in your game.
So I'll direct this one back to Klaus. Can you play Echo of Soul with a controller?
At current, no. And since it's a PC game, like, you know, having an MMO with a controller is, I don't know, you're going to run out of buttons to press.
Yeah, we've got a huge skill bar.
And the skill bar doesn't work out so well, so we'll stick to the classic PC controls for now.
That might be partly our fault. We jokingly posted a photo where we were using it with the controller.
Yeah,
and
GM
that's because we were using it for taking a lot of the videos you see in the background. Mm-hmm. So whenever you see these like sweeping shots, and like the PvE video, it's all in-game footage, and it was all filmed by the GM team who worked really, really hard on it, and loads of people posing and trying not to show off their amazing abilities because they just want to go crazy with AoEs
we
and
had
stuff
lots
like
of
that.
fun with the video captures, I have to say.
So honestly, it's only good at video capturing for sweeping shots. You cannot use this many skills and conduct yourself this well with a controller.
No, I don't believe so.
If someone maps it and does it and sends me a video, I'd be so impressed.
We'll give you an Achievo.
We'll implement you in a
Controller master.
So one last question about this, or a couple more actually. So, can you change the appearance of your character with hairstyle? Like the appearance of your character, like their hairstyles at any point?
You mean post-creation, like a barbershop? I don't believe we have that feature at the moment, but it will be possible soon, I think. There should be, I think, an item, a barbershop item or a hairstyle resetting item. Just don't quote me on that one yet.
So in that case, just if you are rolling Smurfette, make sure you want to roll Smurfette.
For now, yeah. I'll let people know. I'm going to look into this and we'll post it on the channels later if I have a better answer for this.
Okie dokie. So we dived into some of the like guild wars and the kill on sight mechanics in this crazy, like very, very like almost scary kind of world. But what are some of the other PvP modes? Because we talked about PvP matchmaking, and if I'm in a guild that's deciding to start a war, we probably didn't matchmake it, right?
Yeah. So outside of the open world PvP, you've got the very small scale arena where it's like a dungeon party size of 5 people, 5 on 5 in one of the arenas. There's also a couple of mid-sized battlegrounds. Okay. They're quite interesting because they've got objectives to take and hold, as well as some of them, without giving too much away, have large bosses with huge benefits to taking down. And then at the top of all of that, you've got Valhalla. You've got the Guild v Guild 1,000 population cap, absolutely massive army scenario. I'm going to leave it up to the players to see for themselves, because there's no way I can adequately describe what it looks like when you've got 10 different guilds of 100 people each waging combat at the same time.
And we'll have a video showing off some of the PvP features.
Awesome.
Coming out quite soon.
Okay.
A bit like our PvE video, but definitely focused on those people who have the bloodlust for other players and love the competition between players.
You can play only PvP if you want. You can only play the arena, the battlegrounds. You will level sufficiently from that. If you don't want a quest whatsoever, you don't have to.
So that's Okay, that's not pretty much everything. There were far too many questions for us to fit into one live stream.
Thank you, Twitch.
And short of being here for the rest of the evening, what we'll do is we're really, really, really thankful that you guys joined us today.
Yeah.
And we're super excited to let you in the game on May 4th, and share this world with you and start our adventure.
Yeah.
There we go. Start forging our adventure together. So you can sign up for the game on echoofsoul.us. So again, if you want to make sure that and again, Klaus said, it's not time dependent, so you still have your chance to get your key. You can become a founder for your guaranteed access, but oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Where were we?
Where was I? There's so much going on that
There's too many questions in front of you.
I can't even monitor this anymore. Okay, so yeah, you can become a founder if you want to secure yourself access. Again, we really appreciate your support. If not, the keys will be sent out on May 4th. They'll be sent out in waves, so just keep an eye on your inboxes.
We'll be getting more and more people in over time as we get things tested and things survive. We'll be getting more and more of you in. Just keep waiting. If you don't get it straight away, it doesn't mean you're not getting it.
And
keep your eyes peeled for the events that you guys will be
yeah,
seeing.
myself and the rest of the GMs, we've already got some cool stuff lined up. We're going to be doing more. You'll get keys from that. You'll get items from that. We really want to keep having events throughout the life of Echo of Soul because it's something really cool. It's probably my favorite part of the job, and the players get free stuff.
So, and the best way to keep track of all of this that's going on is, I mean, if you like the live stream, give us a follow on Twitch. We really, really appreciate it.
Come to us.
If you want to know what's going on in Echo of Soul on like a daily basis, pretty much, give us a thumbs up on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Check out the forums, because there is so much going on in the world of Nikea, and from the GM team, from us and the community team.
There's so much we didn't get to cover today. There's so many game systems we just barely touched upon. There's so many we didn't address at all. So if you'd like to see another live stream happen, let us know what you'd like to see in another live stream. Would you like to see us dive into PvP? Would some of you like to sign up to run a dungeon with us? We could just grind making burgers for 2 hours. No? Okay.
No. So again, no making burgers, please. But we promised that we'd be giving a giveaway.
Oh yes.
And we're not gonna break our promise. We're really grateful you sent so many questions into the hashtag EOS Live.
Questions.
And we're gonna be doing our best to answer as many of these that we missed.
Yeah. We'll continue to follow up on these on our normal channels, on the area forums, on the Echo of Soul Facebook. Anywhere you send us questions, we'll take them on and we'll address them.
But for now, we're gonna go through the entries because we had there's just too many to pick. We'll go through, randomly pick out 20 winners, and within the hour on Facebook and Twitter, we'll tell you who won the Founders Packs.
Yeah, and you'll know almost straight away. You'll know in an hour's time if you've got your free Founders.
And who will be joining us in the beta come May 4th.
Awesome.
So, from myself, Klaus, Arden, and everyone at Aria, may the 4th be with you.
Bye.
You made it to the end of this stream. Well, if Echo of Soul looks interesting to you and you're going to be playing and you want to join a guild, again, OranThul.com. It's in the description, and I'll see you there in Echo of Soul. Thanks for watching.